What do you say to people that are not homeless, people who do not experience hunger on a regular basis or have never experienced hunger, who say that at least the majority, or it could be all of the people that find themselves homeless, put themselves there, or that people that are hungry simply aren't doing something correctly, and that's why they're hungry? What do we say to these people when we know that there are, of course, the chronically homeless, and there are as many reasons that people are chronically homeless as there are people that are? And another interesting thing, and this is old information, but I seem to remember, at least going back about 20 years ago, that the vast majority of the individuals counted as being homeless in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts were members of families. So if you looked at those numbers, they were of the total homeless individuals, the vast majority of them were in nuclear families, two parents and any number of children. Because at that time, the big challenge was that we were spreading out people where there were motel rooms for them, for the people who were caught into the system, lucky enough to be taken into the homeless system. And so you might have a family in Dorchester, and for that week or that month, the only place that was available was a motel in Pittsfield. And the problem was the rest of their lives were disheveled because they now had to be sent 300 miles across the state just so they had a roof over their heads. But it's not the school their kids go to. It's like it completely just dismembers every other aspect of their life. So what we say to people who are like, those people deserve it?
Well, I definitely think there is a lot of stigma attached to even the word homeless. I think one of the biggest things that this coalition does is an attempt to humanize the homeless population. And that's actually why I got involved in this program in the first place. I went to Chicago with a group of 6 other people, sponsored by New View Communities in Fitchburg, for a community leadership institute. And a large topic of our discussions while we were there for this 3-day conference was around homelessness. And so we decided that we were going to apply for a grant through NeighborWorks, who was hosting the conference, to somehow humanize the homeless population, specifically in the city of Fitchburg. At the time, we didn't know what that meant, but we were a group of 7 individuals who really strongly believed that this was something that our city needed because of those stigmas that you're talking about. Because those people exist that say things like they put themselves there, or they're doing something wrong, there are so many obstacles and barriers that are put into place for those people who are seeking different services, like access to food or healthcare or shelter or childcare or any of those things. Primarily mental health resources are a huge obstacle, especially right now during COVID, that individuals that we see the coalition serving really, really need, but are really, really struggling to get. And so I started on this endeavor just being a person who's been interested in human services for pretty much my entire life. Homelessness wasn't something that I necessarily had dove into at any point. But because this group that I went to Chicago with was really interested in doing this work, I also became interested and invested in that. And so we had all of these great ideas to do these oral history projects, to invite people in to come tell us their story, and just really give them the opportunity to feel heard, to feel valued, to be able to share a story if they want to, or to not share it if they don't want to. We wanted to create some type of event just welcoming people, a resource fair. There were so many different ideas that were floating around that this group had. Not necessarily having the expertise surrounding homelessness, we also were trying to bring in different people from the city that we could learn from about the population that they're serving, so that we might be able to better serve them. Maybe they don't want a resource fair. Who are we to make that decision for them, right? And so we invited the coalition to come in and talk to us. We invited this gentleman named Felix to come and talk to us. And that's really what it's all about, is that humanizing piece. It really is going out and having conversations and having people feel heard. And there are some people, I'll tell you, there are some people who want to be homeless. There are some people who prefer to be homeless. And that's okay. It's not my job or anybody else's to tell them that that's not okay and that they should strive for something else, right? We can provide what we have for resources, but that's not always necessarily what they're going to want. And then there are people who are chronically homeless, who may be
Right.
in and out of different shelters, who may be struggling with sobriety, who may lost their kids or lost their husband and are trying to overcome depression. And again, being hungry and trying to access food, odds are, although it's the core and it's this Maslow's hierarchy, you know, something that they really need, it's really just the beginning.